We're back. We're ready to talk about UFC and other things. Um, Small hiatus. Apologies on my end. I'm back here with my boy Ken. We're gonna talk about some UFC. Uh, yeah, Ken, how are you doing these past this past little bit of a hiatus time?
Great. The UFC's back with a blast, and I can't wait.
I know, dude. It really is. Um, we actually a lot of our podcast map is around a lot of the UFC news and things that have happened recently. Um, dude, we got UFC freaking 331 announced, which I'm gonna pull this card up real fast. Um, Crazy announcement. Ken, what's your opinions on this card first? What you rank it out of 10?
I mean, on paper, it's pretty high, like maybe an 8 or 9, but they could have taken it to a 10 if it was Yair versus Diego. We still need that match.
Yeah, we still need Yair versus Diego. Um, yeah, because after they started arguing at that one press conference, that was literally the fight to make, and I don't know why. Sometimes the UFC doesn't like they don't capitalize on those. Oh my god, they don't capitalize on those the fights that they can make for super big bags, or they don't, or they just do them too late because they're probably banking on a Silva win because Diego Lopez just won, and then maybe Diego Lopez versus Silva for the next title shot. You know what I mean?
I don't know. So it doesn't deserve a rematch after getting slimed with a spinning elbow.
Yeah. Oh, you mean when his head looked like it had like 100 marbles underneath it?
Yeah.
It's crazy, dude. Um, but yeah, that's UFC Noche. 331 got announced. It's Van versus Pantoja, Ruffy versus Saruki, and Pitbull versus Duhu Choi, Renato Morcano Ortega, Alonzo Menafield, Iwo Baranuski. Gable Stevenson's back up with Sean Sharaf, and then Marlon Vera versus Charles Jourdain. There's some more other prelims, but those are kind of like the big ones. Dude, first we'll start from the obvious top. Um, Joshua Van coming back to fight Alexander Pantoja. Um, what is your first reaction here?
I mean, Joshua Van's not the one coming back. It's Pantoja. So, I mean, Pantoja's going to
Yeah,
have a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
ring rust. Who knows how his arm's going to hold up this time. Hopefully, he doesn't try to brace himself as he's falling this time.
What's your early prediction here?
I mean, after watching Joshua Van piece up everyone recently, I want to say Joshua Van might actually take it. I mean, we didn't really get to see much in the first fight, and Pantoja really didn't have much offense. Van didn't really have much offense. I mean, I think this is like a Cyril Gahn versus Tom Aspinall situation, but even worse because we really didn't get to see anything happen during this fight.
Right, right. My so here's a question for you because this is kind of my take on Joshua Van. I thought that when they first fought, Pantoja was going to submit him. I had that as a ticket. Um, dude, but then I feel like Joshua Van, like, don't get me wrong, I know we didn't watch him fight too much versus Pantoja the first time, but from the jump of like not skill, but like I feel like he got so much better from the time that he fought Pantoja the first time to his first title defense. Like his takedown defense was so good versus Tyra. Obviously he was striking him like crazy. I mean, you got to think. I think it was like what 4 or 5 fights ago, Van got knocked out. You know, and it's like coming back from that and becoming the champ and now defending multiple times. I think Van's gonna come in and, like you said, take advantage of the ring rust and stuff like that. Um, but I think it all comes down to how long Van allows Pantoja to implement the grappling, if he can even implement it, you know, because that's where Pantoja will succeed the best, you know.
Yeah, and I also don't even count the Charles Johnson knockout because everyone gets knocked out by Charles Johnson.
Yeah, it's like a what is it it has to happen to you in order for you to become a champion. You know what I mean? Like,
Prerequisite.
yeah, it's a prerequisite to get hired. It's crazy. Um, but another fight on here, I'm just kind of going through them. Marlon
The
Vera
tie
versus
to
Charles,
Vasa. Yeah.
dude. Yeah, Tai Tuivasa is on this card. They're not doing him any favors though, buddy. Oh
No,
my
he's just being
God.
fed to the wolves.
Yeah, they're really putting him out with a bang, man. Like a freaking slug to the head. It's crazy. But yeah, who they gave him Rubella's Dispain or something.
Yeah.
Um, but dude, and then moving just down, we got Armin Sarukian versus Mauricio Ruffy. Dude, this I have a question because I kind of heard this rumor, and I want to know if you heard it and what's your opinion on it. Um, I heard that it was supposed to be Charles Oliveira versus Ruffy, but Charles Oliveira and Alan Nascimento Rip had a really close relationship, and maybe Charles Oliveira had to pull out. This is a rumor that I saw on Twitter. Um, but what is your take on that?
Well, I heard it was supposed to be Armin versus Charles, and then Charles pulled out because of that. Because Armin was even on Twitch streams saying that he wasn't going to fight Charles unless it was for the BMF title, because Dana said somewhere that it wasn't, or the UFC said it wasn't going to be for the BMF title. I was always under the assumption it was going to be Charles versus Armin, and then obviously Charles's like best friend dies, so he's obviously going to take some time to mourn that, and then Armin's got to move on, and they replace it with Rupee.
Yeah, the only reason why I like kind of think like that is because of Ali saying that Justin would be fighting somebody that he's never fought before, and I was like, well, that only really leaves Armin. You know what I mean? And like, I feel like, do you think that this sets up Charles to fight for the title?
Sets up who?
Charles to fight for the title.
Justin's fought Charles before.
But that's what I'm saying is that do you think that like who else like do you really think that they're gonna wait that long if Armin does take some damage here? Like how long do you think Justin's really gonna sit out? Like I'm just trying to picture if Charles was supposed to fight Ruffy, what Ali said earlier could have been thrown out the window because of this. You know what I mean?
No, I think that Justin's actually going to retire. I don't think he's going to fight again. And
Really?
then I think this is most likely going to be announced for like an interim title or the undisputed,
Yeah. Yeah.
something like that.
I find the 5 rounds in the co-main to be a super big advantage for Armin.
Yeah, definitely.
100%, dude.
Rufy's kind of like a 3 round fighter, mainly like a 1 or 2 round fighter, honestly.
Yeah,
Especially against
Rufi.
Armin, he's going to have his best success early.
Yeah, Rufi has that like he has that really big level of confidence in him. Um, but I don't know, man. I think Sarukin's gonna get him down and submit him.
I think Rufy will definitely, knock out Armin.
You really wait? You think so? You think Rufi's will win?
I'm hoping. I'm hoping so.
Do you think that the inactivity of Armin, like, well, it's hard to say because it's like what is inactivity when you are doing like RAF and other things like that are technically competitive things, but they're not to the skill level of UFC? Do you consider that active?
I mean, yeah, in a way, because he is still competing and it's like he's been training the entire time. He's just in training like one specific aspect of MMA. Like RAF, he's pretty much in like a high level competition, training his wrestling. And then he's just did a, I think, jujitsu like fight or match against
Yeah.
somebody. So like he's training probably at like the highest level you can possibly train, because you're going against high level competition in actual competition, not just training.
Yeah. Yeah. So like on that end though, would you say Colby Covington's active?
Well, no. What do you mean?
Well, because Colby Covington fights in like RAF and like that. Like I'm just trying to like I don't know. I feel like obviously it's to the level of your competition and things like that and how hard you really have to work to, you know, compete in the sport you're competing in. But like Colby Covington fought in RAF like a month ago or something, and it's like I feel like even though Armin is doing these outside things, does that still count as like not necessarily inactivity, but like ring rust? Is that still going to bring in the ring rust? Do you know?
Damn, dude, you got a vibrator over there. I don't think it's ring rust necessarily. Obviously, he's not getting punched in the face, but I'm sure he's still doing that kind of training. But when you're doing, RAF matches, you're doing jujitsu matches, and you're competing in high rocks, like I think that's like
You
pretty
are
tough
active
training.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, I hear you. I
I,
hear you. That makes
I
sense.
don't I don't think just because he hasn't fought in an actual fight. I mean, what's like the biggest thing actually fighting? Is it getting punched in the face because like you do that during training, or is it experiencing like the crowd and all that stuff and like the
I mean,
nervousness
well,
and
I mean, to be fair, if you're fighting Huffy, you should probably take some fucking heels to the face, in training. But
I don't think
no,
I don't
you know
think
what
it's
I'm
gonna be a
saying
heel.
though?
Yeah, I
The
get you.
spinning back kicks, he loves those, dude. He loves those. Um,
I think he's gonna be throwing many kicks against a wrestler, dude.
well, yeah, you're right. But I don't know. I think Huffy's stance and the things like that, his like, he bounces in and out, and I think he's kind of susceptible to takedowns. Later in the fight, I think it'll happen. But dude, I still think he's gonna hit Armin and tag him. Like Ruffy he has like that Conor McGregor accuracy. You know what I mean? And he also has like that kind of style. And I just think Huffy, he's gonna hit Armin and he might hurt Armin. But yeah, dude, I think Armin's gonna end up getting the submission here. Um all right, rapid fire. We got Patricio Pitbull versus Doohoo Choi. Ken, how do you see that one going?
Duho Choi by knockout.
Yeah, Doohoo Choi by knockout. I think that Patricio Pitbull just doesn't have enough for him, and he's kind of on the downward spiral. This fight, I think this is such a main card fight. Renato Marcano versus Brian Ortega, dude. Main card fight. Um, dude, I think I think Brian Ortega is gonna come out and submit. I think Brian Ortega is gonna come out and get a split decision victory against Renato Marcano.
Moicano by whatever he wants.
You think so?
Dude, when's the last time Brian Ortega even fought? When's the last time Brian Ortega made weight for a
Well,
fight?
that's what I'm saying. He's moving up to lightweight. This is his first fight at lightweight. Confident, no weight cut. He doesn't have Tracy Cortez to, pull him away from the fight or anything, focus and stuff. You know how it is.
Yeah, we'll
Brian
see how
Ortega,
focused he is.
listen, he's an eagle, okay? He is an eagle, right? Isn't that what he says?
I have no idea.
He's an eagle. All right. Alonzo Manifield versus Iwo Baranarski. This one could go either
Knockout.
way. This one's gonna go either way for me. Yeah, knockout. Either way for me though. You know. Gable Stevenson versus Sean Sharaf. Gable Stevenson's gonna get another highlight reel knockout. They're kind of moving him slowly. They've learned from all their past mistakes. They want to.
Is it slowly or does nobody want to fight Gable? That's the thing.
I mean, no, but dude, to be fair, I think that if you put Gable Stevenson on the across from Shamil Gaziev, he'd sign it. You know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that Josh Hokett would fight Gable Stevenson right now.
No, I think what
Gable,
needs to happen is Gable after this fight is going to fight Curtis Blades.
you think so?
I mean, that's what they're doing, aren't they? Josh Hokett beat Curtis Blades. Now all of a sudden, Paul or not Paulo Acosta, what's his name? Waldo Acosta is fighting Curtis
I think
Blades.
Waldo would fuck up Gable right now. I think
I don't
Waldo would
know.
fuck him up. I also think that if Steven Asplin wins this weekend, maybe that's a good fight for Gable after this one if he wins. Because Asplin has a little bit of a name behind him. You know what I mean? because this guy is just like
He's a fan
this guy.
favorite. That's it.
Yeah, like Sean Sheriff. I think he just got knocked out by someone too. So, it'll be another highlight reel knockout for Gable or submission. I guess we'll see. And then Marlon Vera versus Charles Jourdain. I think Charles Jourdain's going to come out here and not point Marlon Vera. Marlon Vera just does not. He doesn't get started at all.
He also doesn't get knocked out.
Yeah, so you know how that goes. But yeah, that's a little bit of the 331. But yeah, the other thing I want to talk about for 331 is like if Armin does win and he oh shit. And Armin does win and he does fight for the title, like do you think that Islam cuz wait, no, Armin's at 155, so he'd be fighting Justin. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. If Justin retires and gets rid of the belt, do you think that it's going to be Charles versus Armin for the not vacant, but the free belt in the air that either one of them can grab?
And do that, or you could do Paddy versus
Yeah,
Ilya
Patty.
for an interim.
Well, Ilya. Oh, Ilya. I think he loses to Patty. But I don't think they would do an interim for that. Dude, imagine Patty versus Charles.
Dude, I don't think they want Armin to be the champion. I think they're doing everything they
Really, like at
can to not
all?
have Armin be champion.
Why do you think that is? Do you think they just don't like what he did with the Islam fight and they just really like, or do you think
It's
it's like,
that or like the several other things that happen afterwards, headbutting Dan Hooker, punching a fan. I mean, he's changed his image somewhat, but
do you think that the UFC, like, maybe they think Armin, just from recent experiences, he wouldn't be an active champion?
I only think that he's not active because he wants the title shot, and they're not giving him a title shot. I feel
He
like if
also
he was
doesn't
the
need
champion,
money at all. Yeah.
yeah, but I feel like if he is champion, he'll be more active. But I just
You
don't
think
think
so?
that they want him to be champion.
Who do you think in the past like few years have had what sucks too is like Marab and Aljo are best friends and they both got like workloaded out of being a champion. You know what I mean? Like they both got
Yeah.
fights. Wait, like it's so funny that they're the like best friends and their careers, like to this point, obviously, are so like similar. Like Marab gets the belt and then gets like literally fight after fight after fight after fight, and he takes it, you know, um, you know, and then he loses it. I think Marab is gonna come in and outwork Piotr Jan and get the belt. Segment, I wanted to talk about some of our commentators, and I'm gonna give you a list of the commentators because I got the play-by-play announcers, the color commentators and analysts, and then some roving reporters. Um, so I'm gonna talk about them, and I want you to give me a rating, 1 out of 10, or actually, I want you to rate them like who's better than who and whatnot, or who you would want out of these people on your desk. So we'll have at the end of this, we'll have 3 people, and it will be our desk. I'm just telling you the color commentators and analysts, there's a lot of them, so just beware, all right? So play-by-play announcers, Ken, I'm giving you the draft order, all right?
Okay.
John Anik, Brendan Fitzgerald, and John Gooden. It sucks because they're all good.
Yeah.
But
You just gotta go with the gold standard, John Anik.
yep, the gold standard, man. The gold standard. John Anik, he's hilarious. Do you watch him on his podcast, the Arian Florida podcast?
Yeah, I listen to it weekly.
It's so funny, dude. Like I just think John Anik, his voice is like hilarious. Just I don't know, just the way it is. But anyways, moving on. So Ken's I take that too. I take John Anik. He'd be the first on my desk. Moving on to our color commentators and analysts. We got a bunch. All right. Now these ones I kind of want to talk about. All right. And I want you to talk about their faults and what they're good at. All right. Because we got a lot of them. And I feel like these are the ones that talk the most. So like we know them the most. Right. So obviously we'll start off with the big one. We got the big JR, Joe Rogan. Um, Joe Rogan has a list of catchphrases that he likes to repeat every pay-per-view. Um, and I think that he's like an encyclopedia, but he repeats too much of the same shit.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And the thing that makes me laugh every single time is how he takes like alpha brain and all these nootropics, and then he gets on there and he can't remember shit. It's supposed to make you sharper and have like
Yeah,
good memory.
he
Can't
doesn't know
remember
anything.
shit and like just stumbles over his words. And I
Yeah,
don't know, man. He's getting kind of old, and I don't
I
know.
was.
He's not going to be my top guy.
Do you think that Joe Rogan is becoming a casual?
I think he's becoming a casual because he does have good takes sometimes, but I do feel like he has fallen into the I got a bunch of catchphrases and he falls
Yeah,
back into the same like arguments that he's been making, like, "Oh, change these gloves, man. The Pride
yeah.
gloves were the best gloves. You gotta
Man, you should wear a
they gotta
steel
wear
cup.
steel cup." Yeah, the tie steel cup, man. You gotta
Leg
wear this.
kicks are
I
changing
don't
the
know why
game.
yeah, exactly.
Um, yeah, dude,
Oh, that's
Joe
tight.
Rogan.
That's
Yeah,
tight. I think it's over.
yeah. One of the biggest pluses on Joe Rogan, though, he has some of the most animated reactions. So when you get him on the other side of the camera, it's some of the best experience ever. But um, but yeah, dude, this guy. Moving on to the next guy, who has to be probably the like, just take the mic away from him. They're fighting Daniel
Oh,
Cormier.
I just got a text. What? Yeah, dude.
Dude, I think Daniel Cormier makes stuff up about fighters and then says it like it happened. Like he'll be like, "Yeah, man," and Doo Choi, he told me a story about when he was in Vegas and he stopped a dog from falling out of a tree. Like just the craziest stuff. Like I don't know. I feel like he pulls the craziest stuff out of the bag. Um, he also is like he he literally is telling pretty much a baby what's going on. They're
Yeah.
fighting. They're wrestling. They're they're
Man,
fighting still.
both these guys wanna win. It's
You
like, no
yeah.
shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, he looks like he really wants to get after him
Dude,
today.
what I hate so much, dude, I it always takes me out, like, it's the middle of the fight, and he's like, "Yeah, man, these 2 guys are fighters." No
Yeah.
shit, man, it's the Ultimate
Yeah.
Fighting Championship, they're supposed to be fighters. What do you mean
Yeah.
they're fighters?
Yeah, honestly, dude. And the other thing that pisses me off, and I don't know if you ever noticed this, but like sometimes I try to look for this, especially in the early prelims, like because when the crowd gets filled, it's really hard to like see behind the fence. But in the early prelims, just look. If you see fucking DC, there'll be two people fighting. Somebody will be in a rear naked choke, and you look over, and he'll be eating a fucking carnivore snack. I swear to God, it's crazy. Um, or he'll literally be on the phone. It's so funny. Daniel Cormier, I love DC. I love when he does his sit down interviews and things like that
Yeah.
because he is funny. But I think as a live broadcaster, commentator, color commentator, not my favorite. Um, the other another one that moving on to another one, and I love him as a person. He's hilarious, but sometimes I feel like we'll talk about him. We got our Cyclops friend, Michael Bisbing. Um, Ken, what do you think about Michael?
He's not bad, I just feel like he makes, like I hate when he makes a joke and then he has to, like, explain the joke, and then, like, he talks about the joke for, like, 5 minutes after that. Or,
Yeah,
like, he does one of his, like, "Oh, I just did alliteration."
you,
He does alliteration a lot, and
yeah.
he
He'll be
has
like,
to point it
"You
out, or he'll
mean?"
rhyme something, and he'll be like, "Oh, I just rhymed,"
Yeah,
and then
he'll
he
be like,
continues to rhyme.
Josh Hoke will be fighting. He'll be like, "And this is the guy that said, Chama on my mama." Like, you know, dude. You know what else I've noticed about Bisbing? And dude, I notice this every pay per view. He somehow gets into a disagreement or an argument with someone else on the panel every time. Like he'll say something and then someone will disagree with him and then he'll like he'll explain it for so long of how he like is right. You know what I mean?
I feel like that happens
And
more when it's him and Dominic Cruz.
yeah, and he also does this thing where he like judges rounds in between rounds. Like he'll say like that was definitely an Izzy round or something, you know. And I don't think you should do that as a commentator because that pushes the narrative in a certain way, I think, and that can really let a casual person think a wrong way, you know. But and
I feel
he's
like
also
all the
super
commentators do that though.
and he's all yeah, a lot of them do, but I also feel like Michael Bisping is also super striker biased. Like super striker biased.
I mean, DC's wrestling biased, so
No,
I mean, it
I
makes
know,
sense.
but I'm just saying my what I think if you're looking at them in the same token, Daniel Cormier and Bisping are the same person, striking and wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um, but dude, moving on to one of my favorites, and I love seeing this guy do his Octagon interviews. Paul Felder, man. I do love myself some Paul Felder. Uh
yeah, I would
I
agree with
think
that.
he I think he's refreshing. You know, I think he gives good takes and I think he has a really like clear voice, you know? Um perfect like I could be he's honestly one of my top 3, I think. Paul Felder is really good on the desk and as a commentator, color commentator. Opinions?
So I would agree that he's a good commentator. The only issue with Paul Felder, I think, is he's not animated. And when you want like a color commentator, they're the ones bringing like the entertainment.
Right.
They're making it like fun to watch, and he might be too like over analytical at some points. And he's not like he's a good commentator, but I'm not sure if like he would be the best color commentator.
I feel
That
like
makes
with
sense.
him, it's almost like in order to get the best of both worlds, you might need Bisbing there. You know what I mean? Because then Bisbing kind of brings out the real Paul Felder, but that analytical Paul Felder is still there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But someone who is 100% going to be analytical and never going to stray away from the fight game and eyes on the fight the whole time. Sometimes it gets a little annoying, but other times it's the best commentating of all time. Dominic Cruz, man. Dominic Cruz. He is such a good like breakdown. Like he breaks down what's going on really well. The only fub that I really think that he had, like that I think about a lot, is when he said Conor McGregor wanted to be on the ground versus Habib. That one was pretty bad. But dude, other than that, I think Dominic Cruz is very stand up at commentating. I think maybe he's a little too like by the book. Like, how can you really be by the book when you're commentating? But he's really like, stern with it. Opinions? What do you think about that?
I think you fall like you said, he falls into the same camp as Paul Felder, where he is over analytical at some points. And like I said, color commentating, they're the ones that are supposed to be entertaining. So like we make fun of like Joe Rogan and DC, but like at the same time, that's kind of what they're there for. They're there for the entertainment. They're there to make it like more casual friendly, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. Yeah, dude, Dominic Cruz, I think he's really like professional, but not like for a casual. He's more like for us. You know what I mean? Like when he's explaining how this guy is getting into a darts choke, that's what we're listening to. You know what I mean?
You
Um,
want to talk about somebody that always gets into a fight with somebody or disagrees with them? Dominic Cruz,
Dominic
dude.
Cruz,
He
dude.
always has a disagreement with somebody about
He,
something.
oh my God, do you remember Dominic Cruz DC tirade? You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
was, oh, he doesn't get prepared, and that's the other thing is a lot of commentators I've heard over the time do pay people to do their desk work, like have the paperwork ready for them. Um, which it's crazy. I think that if that's your job, I think you should be doing it. And I think Dominic
We know
Cruz
people that
does.
don't do that though. Michael
Yeah.
Bisping doesn't. Paul Felder doesn't.
Oh,
They do it themselves on the plane.
yeah, boy. Um, moving on to Laura Sanko. Ken, what's your opinions on Laura Sanko here?
She's a good commentator. I don't find her entertaining. Again, a lot of these guys, like you said, they have to be paired with certain people to be entertaining. I think when Senko's with DC or Senko's with Bisbing, she's a lot more entertaining than she is with other people. Paul Felder, like you said, I think he's more entertaining when he's with Bisbing. John Anik is usually more entertaining, even though he's like a play-by-play guy. He's more entertaining when he's with DC and Rogan. I feel like you have to have the right group of people to show like their personality and get them to be more entertaining. So I
Yeah,
think Senko's one of those people where if she's with other like certain people, she's more entertaining.
yeah, but at the same time, how sick would it be if they did switch it up some? Like we only saying that because we're used to the people that they've always only been with. You know what I mean? Like imagine if we get a pay-per-view card with John Anik, Laura Sanko and DC and DC. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's
Like
entertaining with DC. I've heard her with DC. I've heard her with Bisbing.
yeah, or like
Her with Paul
imagine
Felder is
instead
not
of
that
DC like
entertaining. I just feel like
imagine
she's more entertaining with DC and Bisbing.
yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Um but yeah, I kind of want to see the UFC like switch it up. They should have a vote out, every week. Do a little vote, a little poll, huh? Who should we have at the desk?
I want that.
Um, he's like, nah, it'd be Joe Rogan every week. Um, but the next one they have on here is Dean Thomas. I love Dean Thomas where he's at. That when they call him up and they say, "What do you got, Dean?" Like that's where I love him at. I think he's like I said, refreshing. I think he's good for the when they ask him, like with what I said, when they say, "Dean, come on, what you got?" What do you think?
Did you watch any of the alternate commentary? Because he was on there with can't remember who it was with, but he was one of the people on the alternate commentary for the
No,
last pay-per-view. It was like
no.
him, I think maybe Snoop Dogg,
Oh, that's
somebody else or something.
hilarious. Yeah, no, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I
Is
didn't
it?
watch any of it either, but I didn't know if you did. Um yeah, I think Dean Thomas is analytical. I don't think he's much of a color commentator. Um, I mean, he knows his shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hell yeah. So my three, I think, would be John Anik. I think, dude, I think probably Bisbing and probably Bisbing and Cruz because I think it's funny. I think John Anik, Bisbing, and Cruz. I think Cruz gives the analytical, detailed view. Bisbing can be like comedy, and he's hilarious, and he does good. He does give good octagon interviews. Just speaking of those, I always think it's funny when he like at the end of the octagon interview, he always has the same cadence, like, and your winner. Like he always does that same
Then he
thing. If
screams their name.
yeah, yeah, every time, every time. And then I think John Anik is John Anik. He's the goat. I mean, what's your top? What's your three?
John Anik, DC for the comedy, Laura Sanko.
Okay, yeah, I think Laura Sanko and DC are giggles together, bro.
Yeah, they
It's
are.
so
I
funny.
like them together.
They are
And
they're good.
DC's a good interviewer. I love him stumbling over his words during the
Yeah,
interview.
you know, the other thing I was gonna say is I wish that like someone who the UFC needs to hire, and I know he'd be a hilarious, just hilarious to be there. Bro, if Matt Serra was commentating fights, that would be the funniest thing ever. Like, you know how they have for the NFL season, they have like the Manning brothers. It'd be so sick if they had like Dean and fucking and him at another episode watching the thing. Like Paramount did another thing. But we're talking about old fighters, and obviously we got old generation fighters, we got new generation fighters. Moving on to our next segment, we got grit versus skill. I was listening to Joshua Van on the Jackson podcast, and he was talking to Bisbing about it, and I kind of wanted to hear your opinion. Um, when you look at older fighters, do you find them to be not as skillful but grittier? And when you look at new fighters, do you find that not new but newer age fighters, do you find them to be less gritty but more skillful?
I mean, I think it's all dependent on the fighter. If you look at the old school fighters, you got to realize like they weren't originally fighters. Like Bisbing was a DJ and he worked at a slaughterhouse, dude. Like you have these guys who are turning to fighting to make themselves like more money for their families to support their families. The fighters nowadays, a lot of them grow up wanting to be fighters, training at young ages to be fighters. Almost like the NFL. Like the NFL back in the day, obviously a lot more
Used to
gritty.
be mailman, yeah.
Yeah, but you had like these guys, this is like their second job. Nowadays, like these kids are starting at like 10 years old, training to be in the NFL. I think it's just like obviously with that comes more skill, like younger training, a younger start comes with more skill. But I don't think the older guys didn't have any skill at all. I think there's still skill there. Like you had Anderson Silva, John Jones, I put back like as a old school fighter, but look what he did. He's
Yeah.
trained he's gone through different generations and of the UFC and like still been a champion, still won. Like I'd say him versus Duogon, he'd win. Him versus Tom Aspinall, I think John would still win. I think it just depends on the fighter.
Yeah, I also think kind of just piggybacking off what you were saying, I also think that the older generation, the ease of knowledge was not like it is today. Like you couldn't just go on YouTube and learn how to do everything in your garage. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't as easy. You had to like get tapes, go to classes, get DVDs, things like that. Um, Nowadays it's like the UFC is such a big thing to where like everybody knows about it. Like even Bisbing talks about it. He's like the UFC, like I mean, not like that, but like it was newer like back then, it wasn't obviously a big thing. Now it's almost like monopolized into like the NFL or like the NBA to where these kids are getting bred from birth to go to the UFC because they know the opportunity for millions is there. Um, I like to think that people choose to fight more now than they did back then. I feel like back then people had to fight. Like Bisbing, there was no other options. He had to fight. That's why you got sloppier champions, people who didn't have the best skill because they were doing what they had to do and they weren't necessarily like focusing on it. Like and to be fair, there was some people with just natural born God given skills. I mean, when you look at DJ, the dude was being a construction worker and the best fighter on earth. You know what I mean? Like, I think that, like you said, it does depend on the fighter. I also think it depends on the time, and everything is just so different now. But yeah, I
Yeah, it's
just kind of,
evolved.
yeah,
There's
it's
a lot
definitely
more.
evolved.
Like the calf kicks, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
They weren't
man,
throwing calf
Garces.
kicks back in the day. People weren't
Yeah,
worried about calf kicks.
no eye pokes. They didn't give a fuck.
Rest Wrestlers back in the day could only throw overhand rights. They had
I
no
know,
boxing except
dude.
for overhand rights.
I know it's crazy. And now we got fucking Bo Nickel knocking everyone out. It's wild.
Yeah.
Um,
Josh Hokett.
but yeah, that it's just crazy. But yeah, I kind of want to talk a little bit about that, the grit versus skill, kind of see where you were on with your opinion there. But another thing I want to talk about in this podcast, which we're gonna talk about boxing at the end here, but I want to talk about the White House, man. I wasn't expecting them to lose 30 million, but Jesus, they lost 30 million dollars on the White House card. That's a pretty big hit. Um, what do you think costed them so much? Do you think Dana was like, damn, those Jets were like too much?
I mean, you got to realize they have to pay all the production. They have to pay everyone. They're not selling any tickets. They gave the tickets away to
Yeah.
like everyone that attended. It was all to military and like close friends. So they literally did not sell any tickets. So they had zero revenue for the card,
Yeah, it's just
and it's
crazy.
not pay
Like
per view. So of course they're
it,
gonna lose money.
it's just funny like when they announce it because it's like they like I don't know, like obviously I don't know if you know this, but like the TKO Group Holdings, they just announced their quarterly earnings, or they announced their quarterly earnings on the 3rd. So it's just funny like the timing, like that this is coming out now rather than before the earnings announcement on the 3rd. It's just funny because they obviously knew, like, you know what I mean? Like, you get that information before now. I mean, I would assume so. I'm not
Yeah, I
the
want to know how
accountant, but
much money they lost when they did the sphere, because he said they
that
lost money when they did the sphere as well.
dude, that it has to be like, well, I don't know because you got to think the Sphere is more of like a rental. The White House is a they built a stadium. You know what I mean? Like they rented that. It was probably like 10 million. This is 30. It's so crazy. It's like they paid Conor McGregor to, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
but yeah, I just wanted to hit on that. And I just it'll never ever happen again, man. We witnessed some one of the craziest things. It'll never ever happen again. Um, the last thing I want to hit on before we get out of here today is boxing and Zuffa boxing and the UFC. I don't know if Ken, you're not really into the Zuffa boxing. I know that, but we got Conor Ben and Ryan Garcia. They're going to be fighting the same night as uh, Gene Silva and Rodriguez. UFC Noche. What is your opinion on that? As like, I know you don't watch boxing too much, but just as a fight consumer and like knowing the business of like TKO and the UFC and stuff, and that Zuffa is owned TKO and the UFC is owned by both groups, don't you think that that's kind of stupid? Like for them to have both of them on the same night, like it pulls viewers from. I know you're getting all the viewers, but doesn't it like shy away from which one is performing better?
I don't think it really matters. I think there's a Venn diagram of UFC fans or MMA fans and boxing fans, and then there's
And
a
they're all
very
under
small
Zuffa.
group. There's a very small group that intersects where, like, plus, like, it doesn't matter, like, if it happens the same night, because if you're a huge boxing fan, you're gonna watch it. If you're a huge MMA fan, you're gonna watch the MMA, the UFC card, and like, it, competition is good. I mean, I don't think you want to
Yeah.
be competing with yourself, but at the same time, like, I think
Are you really losing?
MMA is kind of taking over boxing a little bit, and I think MMA is becoming more popular. So I like I said, dude, I think all the boxing fans are gonna watch the the fight between Garcia and Ben, and I think that the MMA fans are just gonna watch the UFC No J card.
Have
I don't think it's going to tear fans like apart to be like, oh man, I can't watch both. This is crazy. Like, I'm gonna have to have two TVs. Like,
yeah.
I don't think anybody's gonna be that crazy, except for you. Maybe you. You'll probably have
No,
two TVs.
I'll have four TVs, like to this angle, so But no, I have you been looking into the Ben versus Garcia? Do you know anything about it?
No, the other thing with that is, for boxing, the only fight that matters
Is
typically
the
is the
last
main
one.
event. So like, everyone's gonna watch the UFC card, and then they might flip it over to see the main event. And the main event's
The
gonna
other
start at what,
thing,
like 1 a.m.
yeah, and I'm kind of answering my own question here, but the other thing that I've like noticed, and like you obviously don't swap through boxing and UFC like when they're coinciding, but like boxing, I swear to God, someone has the UFC on their phone because like they start fighting the moment that a fight ends, or like you know what I mean? Like it's timed, it's almost timed so perfectly. But yeah, dude, that's a lot of the UFC news this week. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I hit on. I mean, obviously we got our Lord and Savior Anthony Smith is in jail. You know, hopefully he's doing good. Uh,
Went to a
crazy.
judge's decision against his wife, dude.
That's yeah, man, crazy, dude, crazy. I saw this thing. It was like he curled up into a ball. Just
Yeah.
watched. Um, but yeah, dude, I UFC's in a great spot right now. I mean, dude, we're back, man. Justin unlocked the doors, dude. The White House card, I feel like started this whole thing. You know, I feel like we're back. The UFC is back in action. Um, trying to think if there's anything. Conor McGregor finally got knee surgery today. I saw that. Um, I'm gonna shoot some DMs out. Also, Ken, I've been getting some inspiration from this kid, and I don't know if you saw him on TikTok or not. His name is Jaden Cable. Do you know who that is?
No idea.
You should look into him. I think he's giving me motivation because he and shout out to Jaden Cable. He's been like talking to like obviously Terrence McKinney, like bigger name fighters, but he also talks to like prelim fighters that don't necessarily have the biggest following. And I think that's kind of the path here. I think maybe we should. I'm gonna start shooting some DMs out to some fighters, see if they want to shoot the shit and maybe talk to us a little bit about their prep for their fights and things like that. Um, but no, Ken, is there anything else you wanted to say before we get out of here?
Nah, just put the money on killing Southkill to win by KO this weekend.
Killing Southkill is going to win by KO. Yes, that is 100% going to happen. Um, yes, everybody. UFC is back. We will see you guys sooner than later. Enjoy the card this weekend. We love you. Happy weekend. We will see you sooner than later. Bye bye.